Hi, welcome to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We're here with Jan and Andrea, and I'm Patty. I always realize we forget to introduce ourselves, Mary and I. And Mary's in Florida, in case you wonder where she is. And it's Monday. And I want to say something about Monday. I looked it up, and guess what the least favorite day of the week is?
Wednesday.
I feel like you led with
Wednesday.
it.
It's so obvious. It's Monday, Jan. Okay, I just want you to look quickly to see how much is the least favorite day of the week. What is that? 56% and 58. Okay, yep. I can't see the blackboard.
You know, I have a coworker who insisted that Tuesday was the worst day of the week. It's like
Why?
Because you're not halfway done with it. You've already put in all this effort, and you still have so much left to do.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And you know, Monday used to be my favorite day of the week. I still like Monday a lot, you know, because everybody would leave and I could work on my writing. I'm a freelance writer. And the favorite day of the week is Saturday, followed by Friday and Sunday. But anyways, for those of you who have a hard time with Mondays, I'm going to make it a little bit easier for you today by welcoming our guest, Deb Hadley. Welcome to the show, Deb.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to say, also coming up later in the show, we're going to have Sheriff Kelly Leben, and he's going to talk about what's going on in Minnesota. And you live in Minnesota, but we won't talk about that right now. We're going to talk about good things. And Deb actually has a very difficult story. She lost her only two children, and yet the way I describe it, Deb, is you make grief feel comfortable, and you make people feel good in the middle of it. So thank you for being here today. You're also an author, and you have a morning inspirational on Facebook from Monday through Friday, where you do you read scripture, or I know you followed a book that you were reading.
Right. Yeah, it was a God moment. And so Monday through Friday, I do a morning God boost, and I'm in my pajamas with no makeup on and hair back and no frills whatsoever. It was the Lord during Lenten season asking me to be humble. And I base it off of the Sarah Young's book, Jesus Calling. And so I base it off that. It's all natural. There's nothing scripted. It's whatever the spirit moves. And it's about, I suppose, 8-9 minutes long. So I do that Monday through Friday.
And what does somebody have to do if they want to watch that in the morning?
It's on my Facebook page, so they would have to follow it. And so my Facebook page is KT. Kaylee is my daughter. Tyler is my son. So KT Humble Hearts dash Deb Hadley. And if they go to that Facebook page and they follow me, then it will come up, and they can watch.
And I'll tell you what, for anybody watching this, I'm going to put it on Ladies of Another View Facebook page, so it's going to be real easy to go click right on and go over to Deb's page. Deb,
Perfect.
Can you tell us what happened? How is it that you lost your son and your daughter?
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but so I'm on this is my second marriage. So I was married to Kaylee's dad and divorced and remarried. And Kaylee was 5 years old when that happened. And then my husband brought two children into the marriage that were 7 and 9. And so I have two stepchildren. And then together we had Tyler. So I am the mom of Kaylee and Tyler. And, did as much as we could to try to be this blended family through hard situations for all of our kids. But we made it work. God made it work in a great way. And then I fast forward to my daughter, Kaylee. Kaylee was a school teacher. She was teaching at Martin County West in Sherburne. And yeah, there she is on the screen. And she was engaged to be married. And so she decided to resign her teaching job at Martin County West, and she was going to move home, teach summer school in our hometown of Sleepy Eye. And then we were planning her wedding. She was going to be married in 6 months. And Kaylee was 24 years old, and 3 years prior to that, she was diagnosed with epilepsy. She had graduated from Mankato State University, and we went to Chicago. We ran around and had fun and went to plays. And coming home from that trip, she had a grand mal seizure, which entered us into the world of epilepsy. And despite numerous neurological visits, it was determined that she had epilepsy. It was, I believe it was in her left lower lobe, but it wasn't a big deal. It was managed with medication. And, but what happened, she had nocturnal seizures. So she would have them if she would wake up, and maybe 10 minutes later, once a month, she would have them. And we had this fear that she would get married, have babies, get up in the middle of the night, and then have a seizure and drop the baby. And so I had asked her if we could go to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, one of the best clinics in the whole entire world, and just get a second opinion, which we did. They changed her medication, and for 3 months, we felt that we were seizure free, and we were so excited. And June 5th, 2013 came, her last teacher day. She packed up, she'd been packing her apartment. She had her going away parties, and she died suddenly of a epileptic seizure. It's called SUDEP, sudden unexpected death from epilepsy. And it rocked my world in such a horrific way. But the beauty, when she died, I didn't know where God was. And I realized that my upbringing, I thought I had faith in my Catholic faith, going to church, going to religion, praying before I ate, praying before I went to bed. And I didn't know who God was. And so God sent the most amazing people to pray with me, to lift me up. And I was strong and getting stronger and stronger. And I was trusting him. Our family was moving forward. And 9 months and 2 days later, I was at a faith conference up in northern Minnesota, and heard of the news that there was a horrific accident in our small town of Sleepy Eye, and wondering where my son Tyler was, but assured that he wasn't in the car accident. And finally, after not hearing from him, I called the police station myself, and just asked the police officer to please tell me that my son Tyler Hadley was not in that car. And from there found out, yeah, there they are. Yeah, from there found out that he was in the car. There were 5 boys in the car, and 4 of them died instantly, and my son was one. It was a beautiful March day where the sun came out and dried off the driveway. He was able to shoot hoops, and then the temperatures dropped and the roads turned to ice, and the boys were in the car for 3 minutes, went around the first curve in Sleepy Eye, hit ice, and T-boned into a pickup, and changed our lives forever. And the difference.
Deb, how long ago was that? How long ago did you lose your son?
Tyler was 7 years this March 7th, and Kaylee will be 8 years on June 5th of 2013. And yeah, through those experiences.
We have less than a minute, but you're gonna stick with us. And yeah. I know I read that you this second time with your second loss, you were actually comforting other parents this time, right?
Yeah. I felt like when Kaylee died, I didn't know where God was, but when Tyler died and I fell to the ground and knew I couldn't make it, I felt him pick me up and to say, just focus on me and not the storm. And I knew that he had been equipping me with tools to be able to, and strength and trust in him. And Tyler's funeral, I was able to speak, and I was able to comfort all of Tyler's friends, and these 4 families of these boys, and it was a completely different me. Totally.
And I want to talk about the different you when we come back. We're going to take a break, and you're comforting the world now in a beautiful way. We'll be right back after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. What happens with national debt? Does anybody even care anymore? Do you think Governor Burgum truly understands the legislative process?
You know, I think he's got a better understanding now than he did 2 years ago.
Why in the world are we having a conversation about being anti-vaccination? Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Welcome back with Ladies of Another View on Back. And we are joined again with Deb Hadley, and she is a spiritual care and bereavement manager. Thank you for joining us at a hospital. And she was sharing with us how she lost her only son and only daughter, her two only children. So sad. We were sitting here with tears. And now you are counseling other people. Tell us about that job and how did you get into it?
You know, that's a great question. And so I actually am known, I'm a hospice chaplain, which is so interesting to me because I didn't know anything about hospice. I didn't even think I could be a chaplain because I'm Catholic, and I didn't know that you could be a Catholic chaplain and be a woman. And I just felt God opened up some amazing doors for me. At the time when my kids passed, I was a 4-H program coordinator working with the University of Minnesota. And a girlfriend of mine said, Deb, you should be a chaplain or a spiritual director or a pastoral minister. And I had no idea what they were. But what I did know is that I wanted to help those who were hurting find hope in the Lord and get to heaven. I felt God was asking me to do that. I wanted to comfort people who lost loved ones, to give them hope that they can make it in this world, because grief is such a hard journey. And I knew I was supposed to help people not to be afraid of death. That it's going to happen to all of us, and how do we embrace it in a way and have hope for it, but rather than so much dread. And so she set me up on an Indeed job alert. And so she just said, we were moving to Alexandria, Minnesota. And she said, as soon as a job comes up in that area, you'll know. Well, they would come up, but you needed a degree in theology or a master's in divinity, and I didn't have any of that. I have a master's in education, but nothing in theology. And a volunteer and bereavement manager position came open at Canute Nelson Hospice in Alexandria. It was 20 hours a week with no benefits, probably $15 an hour. And my husband is retired. We had moved up to Alexandria because he's retired. I needed benefits. I needed the amount of money I was making, and I needed full-time. And so I knew I was good with volunteers, and I feel like I'm a professional griever, so I'd be good with bereavement. And I applied for the job. They actually brought me in and interviewed me. When I walked in, there was a Jesus Calling sitting on the table. It's a Christian-based organization. And right there, I knew that was a good sign. They ended up hiring me. 40 hours, what I asked for, and benefits. It was an absolute miracle. I loved the position, came to work. found out my supervisor's name is Kaylee, which is my daughter's name, who even names their child Kaylee. And here my supervisor is Kaylee. And I thought it was so divine. And I was hired about June 10th, and they asked me to start on July 16th, which is my daughter Kaylee's birthday. And I hadn't worked July 16th because it was a sad day for me. And now it was a day of celebration. And so I started working for Canute Nelson Hospice, but I didn't have contact with families. I wasn't praying with them. I didn't get to know them. It was all administrative heavy. And 5 months later, I was just praying, Lord, if the door's to open, just allow it to open. And 5 months later, our chaplain stepped down and they asked me if I wanted to be the chaplain. And I don't even have a degree. Didn't need one in hospice. That they watched me, they knew my heart, and they knew that I could help families. And so then I became I called it a spiritual care provider, because I just don't have a degree in chaplaincy, and a bereavement manager. And it's been the most amazing journey to walk with people who are they're dying, and to help them
We talked on the phone today, and you told me a story. You just came from a funeral right before you came on the show. Tell me what happened. It was so beautiful, the story.
The funeral that I did, I'm doing funerals, and I was someone who, I have to tell you, when my daughter and son passed away, I was like rock bottom. It has been such a journey, but God has been so faithful. But by mistake, some man came up on my calendar on Monday, April 5th. And he wasn't my patient, but I thought he was new. And so I went to go visit him. And when I got there, I was like, oh, you don't know me. And they're like, nope, you're not our chaplain. And I said, well, if you're up for a visit, I'd certainly be for one. And so I was there by mistake. And as I get to know them, I just want to know about their faith, and if they're okay with dying, or if they're afraid, or if they need, to explore any of those options. And he told me that both of them said they hadn't gone to church, but they believed in God, and they were Christians, and they didn't believe that you found God in a church pew. And I was like, well, I agree. I believe that there's definite aspects and great things about community in church, but you're right. I didn't find God in church. I thought I did. I found him through a tragedy. And so I just said, so how do you build a relationship with God? Which is what my book is all about. I had written a book called The Morning God Boost, and it's all about how building a relationship with God and surviving the circumstances of this world. And he said, well, his wife said, well, we pray. And I said, well, what do you pray for? And she goes, well, we pray that every day that we're going to wake up. And I go, well, that's a fantastic prayer, but one day, and the Lord's doing a pretty good job, because every day you're still here. I said, but one day that prayer's not going to be answered. And one of you are not going to wake up. And shared with them that scripture, John 14:1-4, that plenty of room in my Father's house. If it were not so, would I have told you? I'm preparing a place for you. When your room is ready, I will come and get you to be with me where I am. And I said, so how can we change the prayer where it's not an all or nothing, where we can still bring the Lord in, because at some point, someone is going to have to go first. And then they decided, well, we want to pray that, that we hope that the other person passes peacefully, and that we pray, and that we know that we feel the comfort of the Lord, that he's with the one that's still here. And it was amazing. I shared with them Ecclesiastes 7:1-4, where Solomon says that the day you die is better than the day you are born. And if the wisest man says it, it's got to be awesome. So left there, they were so grateful I came. And 2 days later, on April 7th, the man did not wake up. Did not wake up. They'd been praying every day he would. He did not wake up. And I called her. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. And she just said she had so much peace and so much comfort in me being there. And it was just something that had to be said. And then they didn't belong to a church. So I asked who's going to do the celebration, and they asked if I would do it. And so I was, by mistake, meeting the family. And then today was a celebration of life, and it was amazing. And I'm so proud to be part of the journey and to help the family through this.
And you just told me that story this morning, and I thought, I want to talk about that, because I think there's so much beauty in this one story, so much guidance. We only have a minute now. Do you see why you need to come back? But I want to show you the picture of the book up on our screen. And if anybody wants to learn more, go to sheriffhadley.com. And you might be interested in the Morning God Boost because it's full of this kind of inspiration and beauty. And Deb, I'm thinking May would be a good month to have you back because we're not done talking.
So that would be fabulous. Yeah.
And just in 30 seconds, what do you tell people in God Boost?
The Morning God Boost, I just talk about today could be the last day. We never know when the Lord is preparing a place for us. Today could be the last day. So if this is the last day that the Lord gives us, then let's make it the best we can. Let's not be sad. Let's not look at everything that's wrong. Let's look at all the blessings and embrace it. And I always end with, and be kind, give more, stay humble, and shine God's love and light on all you meet. And God bless you richly. That's how the God Boost ends.
Well, thank you.
Perfect
I see
ending.
tears again because you do that to people, Deb. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be in touch. We'll be right back with ladies. We'll be right back with Sheriff Kelly Leben after this with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Indoor football is back in Bismarck. Bucks football season is right around the corner. Grab a friend or family member for a night of action-packed, hard-hitting entertainment. The Bucks open at the Bismarck Event Center May 8th as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. Catch the sweetest seats in the house right on the sidelines with VIP service at a Bucks turf table. Available now for single-game purchases. Secure your tickets today by calling 701-595-0771. Bucks football, half the field and double the fun.
At Beck Communications, we've been planning for your future. Over the past decade, we've placed nearly 200,000 miles of dedicated fiber optics in the ground. Enough fiber optic strands to circle the world 8 times. Taking no shortcuts, we connected every home and business in our service area with dedicated fiber optics. It's your personal, unrestricted, unthrottled connection to the world. Best of all, this dedicated fiber means you do not share your connection. We call this intimate dedicated connection Beck Fiber.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Ever been in a cave before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the car! How will we? The car! Your offer has been accepted. Ever bought a house before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the closing. But how will we? The closing!
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we have a fourth person with us, Sheriff Kelly Leben, and I want to thank you for coming on such short notice.
Well, thanks very much for the invite. So
I called you on every phone number I could find of yours, and I texted you. It's like you didn't have a choice, did you?
No, you tracked me down. You should come work for us. So.
Yep, I didn't want to let you get away because I wanted to talk about what happened, the very sad, unfortunate situation in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, where there was an accidental shooting apparently, and rioting broke out. And I thought, we're going to talk about Bismarck, Burley County area. But I want to start with what happened there because it's another tragedy and there's more rioting. We can talk over this, but I have a video. It's so upsetting to so many of us when there's rioting because really it doesn't accomplish anything. It just makes things worse. And this happened, somebody went through apparently with a cell phone and took pictures of, here's the aftermath, empty stores, ripped apart. How is that making anybody's life more valuable? These people probably don't even know the name of the person that died. They don't even know the circumstances. But this is what they do. And
makes you feel like they were already stationed there and ready to go. I mean, the trial's coming up, the decision on the trial, and I'm afraid that they are just lying in wait, and they've been prepped on this type of activity.
well, right, Jan, I think because they're ready to go with the whole George Floyd thing.
Correct.
And I've seen people saying, well, no matter what they decide, there's probably going to be rioting. I hope not.
Yeah, I do too.
What do you think of when you see something like that?
You know, I think really for me, you know, and obviously we're a very divided nation right now. But I think, you know, I've stood for law and order for 31 years in my profession. And, you know, and we're a nation of laws. We have processes in place. And unfortunately, when you look on the news and you see the rioting, you see the violence that follows, I question what does it accomplish, because we have processes in place. Let's let the process work. Let's gather all the facts. These situations are very dynamic. You know, things are happening very quickly. And then we've got time to look back and say, you know, what went wrong and let's fix it. And so it's disheartening when we see, you know, the violence that follows. And, you know, and I understand people are frustrated, but we got to believe in the rule of law. That's all we have in this country. And if we don't support that and believe in it, how do we ever hope to affect positive change? Because somebody's always not going to agree with the outcome. So we got to trust in the process.
I've seen a lot of people kind of try to bait the situation. I saw a kind of a celebrity wannabe from North Dakota that now lives in Minneapolis. And she's kind of baiting people by some of the information that she's posted. Her quote was, "Innocent people should not die at the hands of law enforcement, and guilty people do not deserve to die at the hand of law enforcement either." But then she ended it with justice for Dante, for George, for Brianna. It's almost as though they are baiting through the media.
Well, and I think, you know, we see that, and I guess one of my frustrations is, you know, they say if it bleeds, it leads. If it, you know, and sometimes when we look at, we're very fortunate locally, the media, you know, gives a very honest, unbiased coverage of what's going on, you know. But I think sometimes when we see these incidents, you know, and what I've said many times, these are law enforcement officers that are put in a very difficult situation, making split-second decisions. And it's easy in hindsight to say, well, they should have done this or they shouldn't have done that. And again, we got to trust the process. If there's bad cops, you know, I love the quote that says, nobody hates bad cops worse than good cops. And I think, you know, just like every profession, there's going to be bad people. But I can promise, you know, especially in North Dakota, we do a very good job of vetting applicants coming in. We do a very good job of training the employees that are working in law enforcement. And then if we have problem employees, we do a very good job of disciplining and working hard to move them out of the profession if they're not good for public service. You know, so to say that sometimes mistakes are going to happen, yeah, they're going to happen. People, you know, these are human beings making split-second decisions, sometimes on very limited information. And then hindsight's always 20/20. So I think, unfortunately, we're living in a time right now where, law enforcement is taking the brunt of the problems in the nation, and it's unfortunate.
So how do we get rid of the lynch mob mentality with the public? Is there something that, some civil-minded people could do to help encourage that?
And that's a good question, and I'll speak on a local level here in North Dakota. We are very fortunate. One thing I commented during some of the protests in Minneapolis earlier, here we had homeschoolers walk into the courthouse to show their support for our deputies and our detention officers. And I always speak to our employees and say, we operate with public trust. That's all we operate with. And we have to live in the community we police, and we can never violate that. And I wish there was a magic wand where we could say, everybody come to the table and let's work together. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. But like on the video you showed, that doesn't solve anything.
No, it hurts. It victimizes other people. I was really upset during the summertime. There were people, black and white, who died, who were shot because of the rioting. There were black and white business owners that lost their business and that were harmed. And harming other people doesn't solve anything. What bothered me was the mentality among some people that I could not speak out against the riots, and they told me, oh, you just care about property. And I said, number one, if it was your property, you might feel differently. Number two, it's not just property. There are people that died from these riots, and then they didn't have anything to say. But I thought we could agree in civil society that rioting is bad. But there are some people excusing it, saying, well, this is what they need to do to get our attention.
And I would agree with you, Patty, and I think we all can agree. Violence is never the answer to any of this. I think we have a very good government process where, if you're not happy with your leadership, vote them out. If you want to effect change, you take your voice and be heard. One of the things, even during some of these protests, one thing that we've said all along, we are there to support peaceful protest. I think we all agree that everybody has a voice and should get the opportunity to speak. But when it becomes violent, then there's no excuse.
Right, everything just kind of shuts down.
Yes.
And you're just hurting people. You're not helping. And I think, I did a lot of research trying to figure out what was going on and what was Brooklyn Center like. And they actually have a black mayor. And last time during the riots with Floyd, Trump was president, and a lot of people were striking out and complaining about Republicans, even though Minnesota's pretty represented by Democrats, right?
Yes.
And so, and their population is only 30,000, but they're much smaller than a Bismarck, North Dakota. So when we come back, I want to talk about a little bit more locally, how we're different and what's going on in law enforcement in Burleigh County. Right after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Today's households have more digital devices than ever before. More links to family, business, education, and entertainment. Beck Communications spent over 10 years building North Dakota's fastest fiber optic internet service. Beck Lightband Internet, outpacing speeds in large cities nationwide. Lightband Internet handles all your digital needs without throttling your connection to the world. Beck Communications, valuable digital connections in rural North Dakota.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we've been joined with Sheriff Kelly Leben. We were talking about the whole unfortunate situation in Brooklyn Center with the rioting, and I want to talk about Bismarck and North Dakota, but do you have any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, do I need to change my travel plans to Minneapolis in the near future?
You know, honestly, I would be very cautious, and I think that's something the Minneapolis leadership is going to have to be prepared to deal with. You know, I would be very cautious going there just with what's going on. You know, it's coming from the outside, you don't know where you're at all the time, and obviously there's a lot happening in the city, so it's definitely a risk versus benefit at this point.
Sure.
Where I would say, is it worth it to go there?
Sure.
So do you have any insights on whether they've changed any of their protocol? Are they bringing in the National Guard? Are they just winging it with the reduced amount of staff?
You know, and we only have seen, you know, what's in the news like everybody else. And so I think, you know, obviously they've kind of backpedaled on some of the defund the police. Obviously now they're talking reform, and, you know, that can take many shapes as they get it finalized. But I would think that they're definitely, probably with the trial going on and now what happened in Brooklyn Center, you know, obviously I think they're going to be bringing in people to try and help keep the peace.
I'm glad I live in North Dakota. I'm not from here,
Yes.
but I have been here for, I feel like I am now. We've been here for over 30 years. And I bet you're glad you're doing law enforcement in North Dakota and not in one of the big cities.
Yes.
Are you from North Dakota then originally?
I am, yes, born and raised here, so.
Tell me that with everything that's been going on nationally, especially right next door in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, have you changed any way, the way that you're operating here? Are you better prepared, or are you just going forward the way you have always done it?
You know, I will say that we have actually changed some of the things based on nationally. Not so much what we're doing as a practice. I think we're very blessed with good officers. You know, they're truly here to serve. They have good hearts. Doesn't mean they don't make mistakes, you know, but overall I think the staff we hire and employ is very top notch. The sad thing is, one of the things we've had to do based on some of what took place in North Dakota after the Minneapolis riots earlier in relation to the George Floyd incident, we actually had to start purchasing riot control gear, which, you know, we had very limited equipment prior to that, but now it's a reality. We saw the protests in Fargo. We did see a little bit of protest activity in Bismarck. And so now we're taking dollars that normally we would have spent on training or other equipment that we're going to use more frequently, and now we're buying riot control gear in case we have to be able to respond.
And you also had the DAPL protest not too long ago. Were there any lessons learned from that?
You know, there was a lot of lessons learned from that, you know, and that was probably our first introduction in a nation or a national protest. You know, and probably the first thing that comes to mind for me is law enforcement. Typically, we were never proactive with the media. Like, we didn't try and push our narrative out there. And what we found in the DAPL protest is we had to do that because, you know, there would be video taken during the incidents, and then it's edited, and then it's shown across the nation, and it's not what happened.
Can I, now that you say that, I had a relative in Wisconsin say, oh my gosh, look what's happening. And she showed me a video of a man under a dog, and the dog had blood on him. It was a German Shepherd. Look at this, he's attacking this man. And I just had a funny suspicion. I just did a search. I put dog, DAPL protest, attack, and I found the whole video. What had happened was the dog was hit with a stick. So it was the dog's blood, and the man threw himself under the dog, and it looked like the dog was attacking him. And I wanted to say that because I came across that. I thought, oh my gosh, they are purposely telling lies.
And there was actually even images from other places across
Germany,
the world
yes,
that were being sent out on social media saying this is what's happening south of Mandan. So, you know, and Patty, I went through the same thing. I had friends and family saying, what's going on there? And I would tell them, it's not what you're seeing. You know, call me, I'll tell you what's going on.
And do you suppose the same thing is happening with Minnesota too? Like, we're only seeing what people put out there, really.
You know, and I would think that there's a lot of that, and that's why in law enforcement we live by there's two sides to every story. You know, and again, to go back what we said earlier, we gotta wait for the facts to come out. It sounds like in this recent shooting, it's truly a tragedy. They're just releasing now, the chief from that area is saying that the officer looks like he went for his taser and accidentally fired his weapon. Truly a tragedy, and there's consequences for that, but there's not intent if that's actually what happened. It was a tragic mistake.
Horrible. My heart just breaks for the family of the deceased man and the officer.
Yes.
But tell me, what's the likelihood that somebody would grab their gun instead of a taser?
You know, and unfortunately, so when we're talking about these types of incidents, these are very high stress incidents. And, you know, officers train, and we always say, you know, the term muscle memory, where basically you do things without thinking, you know. And the example I'd give you is, how many times have you left your house and said, did I lock the door? Because we do it naturally, it's second nature. And some of that's what we instill in the officers, because if you have to think about it, reaction, if you have to think and process, that reaction time is going to increase greatly, and people might die, the officer, the innocent people. And so what we want is officers to be able to react appropriately without thinking about it. For example, if you carry your firearm on your right side, we always tell our officers that the taser is going to go in a different area on your duty belt, because we don't want them under stress to reach for the firearm and accidentally grab a taser, or much worse, vice versa, reach for the taser and grab a firearm. So unfortunately, those things happen. We even see officers get accidentally shot in training because the firearm wasn't unloaded.
Well, it's not a perfect world, and we're human beings, and nobody wants these accidents to happen.
Exactly, yes.
So sad, but rioting isn't the correct.
No.
And we really, with a population like North Dakota, like you say, we haven't really had riots here.
No, we've been very fortunate. I think statewide, we're very blessed with a lot of public support. I think we are a very strong law and order state, where people truly believe in the rule of law. And so, and at the same time, I think it's important that this profession, law enforcement, does everything we can never to violate that public trust.
Have you seen, I've lived here for 30 years, and I think that it seems to be the crime rate has been increasing, but what would you say?
I would say it has, Patty. Unfortunately, just the other day we were talking about this at work. Even during COVID, when we worked to manage our jail population, unfortunately, there's a high percentage of that population that there's no way we can let them out of jail. 30 years ago, we probably could have, because the average person was in jail overall for some minor offenses. Well, those people don't go to jail anymore. But I think probably what's driving it more than anything, unfortunately, is the drug problem that we see being perpetuated across the state.
Right, and so, yeah, the drug problem, it's a whole nother story, right?
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you for your service, because it takes a special person to do the job that you do. Yeah, it's a high stress, and probably a lot of people complaining, and no matter what you do, you can't make everybody happy. But you made us happy today.
Hey, well,
coming
awesome.
On our show.
That's what matters. So.
Thank you, and I'm sure we'll have you on again sometime, because law enforcement's going to be in the news in the future, no doubt, here and there.
Yes. Well, thank you, ladies. I truly enjoyed it. So.
Well, thank you. So we'll be right back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel, from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature Heroes, with the region's only Hero meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Indoor football is back in Bismarck. Bucks football season is right around the corner. Grab a friend or family member for a night of action-packed, hard-hitting entertainment. The Bucks open at the Bismarck Event Center May 8th as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. Catch the sweetest seats in the house right on the sidelines with VIP service at a Bucks turf table. Available now for single-game purchases. Secure your tickets today by calling 701-595-0771. Bucks football, half the field and double the fun.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after-hours oasis of sanity.
How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. I don't know about you, but what happened to the show? It is just
there it went.
When you have two guests on and two good guests, I mean, not that we don't have any bad ones, they're all good, but that's just flying by, and we are already at the lighter side. Today it's kind of the heavier side because we're going to talk about cryptic pregnancies. Did you ever hear those? I didn't until this.
No, I've never heard it termed that way, but I have heard about people that experience it.
It's a real thing, and we've all heard about somebody was pregnant, didn't know it, and they deliver the baby, didn't know they're pregnant.
I can't, no.
Still,
I've been there, done that, so I can't imagine it.
I have a little video we're going to watch, and what surprised me is there were all these other videos of all these other women who didn't know they were pregnant, but let's watch this one.
She's cute as a button, but her arrival came as a total shock to her parents. Can you believe Mom didn't even know she was pregnant? 47-year-old Judy Brown knew she was gaining weight, but she thought it was due to menopause.
I had strong abdominal pains, and it was getting worse.
She was rushed to Beverly Hospital outside Boston. That's when her doctor dropped the mind-blowing news.
Well, it's good news. You don't have any blockages or anything. You're pregnant. Okay, and you're going to have her now.
1 hour later, yep, that's all it took, Carolyn Rose came into the world. She weighed in at 8 pounds. Dad is still in shock. After 22 years of marriage, this is the couple's first child.
I feel I'm still going to wake up in the emergency room and feel, hey, this was only a dream. What? It felt so real.
So what are the odds that a 47-year-old woman would not only get pregnant, but also not even realize it?
It's very unusual for a 47-year-old woman to be pregnant and to not know she's pregnant, and then to be completing her whole pregnancy unaware of it, and then walking into the hospital and coming out with a baby.
The Browns are beyond excited about their baby girl, a little bundle of joy they didn't even know was coming.
Can you imagine?
No.
You go to the hospital thinking you have like gas pains or something, and an hour later you have a child?
Best possible outcome I could think of.
Right, yes, but I don't get it. I do not get it. I don't know how it's possible. When I was pregnant, I was way out here, and I know not everybody is.
No, there are people that, well, I know young people that kind of just layer up their clothes, think they're gaining weight, and then when the inevitable happens, they're frightened and they go to the hospital thinking they have appendicitis or something, and boom, there's a baby.
My babies were so active. I felt like, oh my gosh, they're going to pop out through the stomach. They're just like kicking and somersaults, and I just can't imagine not knowing you're pregnant.
Do you remember all the little butterflies that you felt with the movement, and you know, you watch the foot make an imprint on your tummy, or
that was the best.
Yeah, I just, you know, and then tickle the feet and have the baby rearrange itself. I mean, I just can't imagine. In 9 months, you wouldn't have a clue that the child is there.
But we've all done it before. It was her first, it sounded like it was her first child. But that probably is
at 47 years old.
More of the situation where they've never experienced it, so they don't know what to expect. And I don't know. I feel like we owe it to our daughters to expose them to normal pregnancies, and this is how life is, and this is how it starts. And they should see that, so that they are never. You should never be surprised. You should never wonder, oh my gosh, is this gas?
Why is there a foot coming out? Like I would show the kids.
The weirdest looking gas you ever saw.
There's your little brother or sister. There's their foot, you know, kicking, and they used to always have a lot of fun.
But you know, there's people. They walk into the hospital. They have the child, and then they explain to them, you didn't do this right. You were supposed to come here for this scan and that shot and these vitamins, and you can't have a healthy baby without it, but oh, what? Mom just pooped the baby out at home and the baby's fine. That kind of makes you wonder how much of that care is absolutely critical.
Well, now, Jan, you are very health conscious. I don't want anyone to mistake that we're against prenatal care.
Oh, not at all.
We think you should be healthy and eat
Oh,
well.
for
but
sure.
Right. I know what you're saying.
But a perfectly healthy female
Right.
can have a perfectly healthy
Right.
child without intervention.
Right. I just want to make sure
Yes.
our viewers, I know you mean that, but I want to make sure our viewers know that, you're talking about all the, the trappings and testing and,
Well,
to
it's,
just be
it's
healthy. And,
I didn't do it all right when I had my children. I listened to every person of authority that kind of came my way. And so I had all of the ultrasounds and the scans and all those kinds of things, and they were still way wrong. So it's just
well, they often
do your
are.
research. Do your research.
They often are. I've interviewed and done stories on quite a few women who were told their baby was going to have a severe handicap and they came out perfectly healthy. Whether it's a miracle or whether they were wrong, it's probably a little bit of both. But and the weird thing is that I found so many videos and stories of other women who didn't know they were pregnant and think, wow, this is a real thing.
The list was so long.
It even has a name, Cryptic Pregnancies. It's like, wow.
And there was a gentleman that was doing an interview with a mom like that, and then he sat and read the emails of well, Lydia said she didn't have a clue, and Mary Jo said that she was surprised to go into the hospital and come home with kids, and it's like one right after the other.
So I guess the moral of the story is be ready, ladies. You just never know. You never know. But anyways, come back tomorrow and join us. We've got another exciting guest. Scott Mineo is going to talk about parents against critical theory. And my goodness, is he a cultural warrior? And he's not taking no for an answer and being canceled. So we'll be back and join. Joel Heitkamp is up next down the road. If you don't like what we had to say, you might like what he has to say. Next on Ladies of Another View on Beck. We'll see you tomorrow.